This video will focus on what you need to know to install the Gerber Wrightwood 2-piece toilet. Before you begin, make sure you have all the necessary components. These include the toilet bowl, tank, seat, supply hose, wax ring, and floor bolts. It's also handy to have a few tools on standby, including a putty knife, 2 or 3 rags, gloves, a sponge, a bucket, a measuring tape, a crescent wrench, and a large Phillips screwdriver. If the floor isn't level, we'd also recommend having a few plastic shims. With everything you need on hand, the first thing to do is turn off the water supply. Once this is done, flush your existing toilet, holding the handle down to remove as much water as possible. Then, sponge out any of the remaining water in the tank and bowl to minimize dripping during removal. Now you can disconnect the supply line where it connects to the toilet. Then disconnect the supply line where it connects to the shutoff valve on the wall. You will then remove the floor bolt caps and the nuts and washers on the floor bolts. With this done, you can remove the existing toilet. Toilets can be heavy and awkward, which is why you might want to disconnect and remove the tank from the bowl to reduce the overall weight. Either way, please be careful. Plug the drain temporarily with a rag, being careful not to let the rag go down the drain pipe. Then, remove the floor bolts. Remove all residual wax from around the flange and surrounding area. Clean the area beneath where the toilet was. Keep in mind that a new wax ring is required anytime a toilet is installed to ensure a proper seal. It is recommended to measure and estimate the rough-in before purchasing and installing a new toilet. To be sure your toilet will fit in your space, measure the rough-in, which is from the wall to the center of the flange. For this toilet, it should be at least 30.5 centimeters or 12 inches. The toilet is designed to fit when this dimension is precisely 12 inches, but it can still work if it's at least 11.5 inches or 29.2 centimeters. Then, clean and inspect the old closet flange, as well as the flooring around the flange. It's important that the flange be flush, or up to 6.3 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch above the finished floor surface for a proper wax seal. If the flange is located below the floor surface, you'll likely need an additional wax ring. Now you can attach the flange bolts, also called Johnny bolts, and the flange washers. You'll then remove the rag from the drain and place the new wax ring on the closet flange. You'll now carefully lower the toilet bowl straight down onto the flange bolts, evenly pressing the bowl down until it is solidly on the floor. This should ensure that the wax seal is properly seated on the flange. Once this is done, place the cap base, noting which direction is up, washer, and thread nut onto the flange bolt, tightening the nut carefully to avoid cracking the china and snapping the bolt cap over the assembly. If it's necessary, cut the top of the bolts and snap the bolt cap on. You can now place the channel pads on the bowl. After this, insert the tank bolts and washers through the holes in the bottom of the tank. Gerber uses 2 sets of nuts on each tank bolt, so attach the first set of wing nuts to the bolts to create a seal at the tank. You'll then check that the pre-installed fill valve and flush valve nuts are tight, again, making sure to hand tighten only. Now, attach the tank to bowl gasket to the tank outlet. Then, lower the tank onto the toilet bowl and attach by hand tightening the second set of wing nuts to the bolts. Connect the new supply line to the shutoff valve at the wall. Connect the supply line to the intake of the toilet tank. Hand tighten only. Using tools on plastic fittings may damage or crack the connection and will void the warranty. Take care to ensure there are no kinks in the hose after it is tightened. Now you can slowly open the water supply and check for leaks. Then ensure that the tank fills to the marked water line. Flush the toilet once to fill the bowl, always looking for leaks. Then flush a second time to test the actual performance. With this done, you can set the tank cover on top of the tank. You can now install the toilet seat. First, Insert the seat bolts through the seat posts and into the seat holes. Thread the plastic nuts onto the bolts from underneath, making sure not to completely tighten them yet. At this point, you can place the seat onto the posts and make minor adjustments for an optimal fit. Once your adjustments have been made, remove the seat and tighten the seat bolts. Then, put the seat nut cap over the posts. Now, all that's left to do is reinstall the seat. And with that, the installation is complete.